Hello, Senior Stoner fans. It's the real Senior Stoner back at you for your Puffco Proxy and Bub Diamond Dab of the Day. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining me. As always, when you enjoyed today's video, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button, send a like, and I reply to every comment. We've talked about how to reduce being burned out, how you can maybe not be as burned out. But you know what? Everyone's going to be burned out at some time or another. How do we recover? How do we reset from burnout? Because your brain and your body can only handle feeling overworked and overwhelmed for so long. If you consistently experience high levels of stress without taking steps to manage and reduce it, exhaustion, or worse, will take over, leaving you emotionally and physically burned out. Well, you're going to feel less motivated, since it seems nothing you do matters. Burnout happens gradually, but it hits you hard when it does. You're going to notice the symptoms immediately. Once it takes hold, though, it can affect your ability to function across every aspect of your life. You've got to recognize the key signs of burnout. Forgetfulness and difficulty concentrating. Diminished pride in your work. Here it is. Losing sight of yourself and your goals. I really don't know what I'm doing. Difficulty maintaining relationships and being present with loved ones. Can't talk to you right now. Frustration and irritability with coworkers. What? Unexplained muscle tension, pain, fatigue, insomnia. I didn't sleep last night. Well, guess what? Do you know that studies show that between 4 and 7% of the working public experiences burnout? In certain fields like healthcare, police, double that rate. Burnout can have a far-reaching impact on even people like me who are almost homebound because it negatively affects who you are. It keeps you from enjoying even a hobby or time with your family or even relaxing outside. And there's an increased risk for health concerns. So it's essential that we find ways to get started on the recovery from burnout. You know what? You got to find the source. That's right. It's tough to make changes when you don't know exactly what needs to change. So you look at the contributing factors or sources of stress in our lives to help. Burnout often relates to job or personal relationship stress, but it also could happen with an academic situation. I had terrible problems in college dealing with relationship problems or even health issues, as I can attest to. Trying to do too much on our own creates an ideal environment for burnout even faster. Eventually, what happens is people, like trees, we're built to bend, but eventually you can break. You can break, and that's when burnout occurs. So the stress that accompanies the single factors might be manageable on their own, but because it turns into just like a snowball running down a hill, becoming bigger and bigger, now you have more, multiplying, combinations, which can easily overwhelm us if we don't take steps to get support or identify what the problem is and stop it. So identifying and immediately making changes, if you can, once you've recognized a few ways to lighten your load, could be the difference. That's right, could be the difference between you being overwhelmed, accepting it, and moving on, versus being overwhelmed and being unable to evaluate your situation. Having to cancel or reschedule all of your personal interactions. You know what? When you look at things and take care of them one at a time and move them away, take care of it and move it aside, take care of it and move it aside, the immediate relief you get from each thing you move aside can bring amazing surprise relief to you. So a little bit at a time is always critical, just like we handle any problem. The big whale, the shark mother says to the baby, you eat it one bite at a time. You also need to find people that you trust to talk to. Burnout can become so overwhelming, so exhausting, that it's actually hard to identify solutions because you're going to feel completely spent. So involving a trusted loved one can really help you feel supported and less alone. Friends, family members, partners can help you brainstorm possible solutions. People in your circle are close enough in your life to have some understanding of what works for you, but enough distance still to consider the situation with clarity as a third party. So it's critically important that as we struggle through burnout, we don't do it alone. That's right. You never know. Your loved ones may have experienced the exact same burnout at some time through their lives and have extremely valuable insight to share on how to handle it. So you got to examine your options. You see, addressing burnout isn't always straightforward, but it doesn't have to hold you down forever. You may be able to see an easy road to recovery, but a little exploration might unearth even a better one. Remember, keep your options rolling, keep things in motion, and try to make it back to where your balance is. Sometimes just knowing you can get back to balance is enough, because burnout can make you feel powerless. You might feel your life is rushing past and you can't keep up. You see, a lot of time outside factors contribute to burnout. And we might blame those circumstances and have a hard time seeing what we personally can do to fix the situation. We may not have had control over what happened to bring us to this point. But guess what? We have the power and the strength to take back the control and begin to recharge. Remember, prioritize. There are some things that you just got to get done, but others can wait until you have more time and energy. Try to delegate if you can. Don't do everything yourself. You know what? Leave your work at work. Part of burnout recovery is learning to prioritize a work-life balance. After you leave that door of the office or the store, wherever you work, leave it. Focus on relaxing and recharging for the next day. And be firm about your needs. That's right. Talk to others that are involved and let them know what's happening. Explain that you need some support in order to take care of your health and be better at what you do. And set boundaries for yourself. Set the limits. Limits on the time you give to others. Because accepting too many commitments can cause overwhelm. Push the pause button if you have to. Set the boundary and keep it, because you're not lazy. You're not selfish. You're not mean for declining a request for your time. Being selective about commitments that you accept is a key towards taking care of your mental health and honoring truly important commitments and being proactive to prevent your burnout. You see, just like putting on the oxygen mask for an adult before the child on the plane, you must practice self-compassion first. Reaching a point of burnout can bring up feelings of failure, loss, lack of purpose, lack of direction. You might feel like nothing's going to happen to achieve your goals. But when you reach that point, you've pushed yourself past the point where most people would consider themselves capable of fixing it. So guess what? What would a friend say? What would your loved ones say? That's right. Their empathy and kindness are there. You did not fail. You're in motion to fix yourself. So grant yourself the time. Give yourself the permission. Pay attention to your needs, because taking charge of our own physical and mental health is the absolute key at the end of the keychain to health and burnout recovery. In an ideal world, reaching the point of burnout would mean you immediately take time off, clear your schedule, jump in a pool, go fishing. Most people just can't do that. They got bills to pay, children to take care of. They can't do it. But you've got to practice good self-care. That will recharge you. Make enough time for your sleep. Make enough time to be with your loved ones. Alone time's important also. Try to get some physical activity. Try to eat well. Try to keep your mind at bay with mindfulness. And by golly, throughout everything, burnout. Remember what makes you happy, because severe burnout can drain us and make it really hard to remember what you enjoy. You may have lost your passion for whatever you loved and feel angry and resentful every day you're not doing it. Whatever you no longer care about or stopped responding to. Wake up. You might even feel perpetually irritated at your partner or your family member or loved one without trying to or meaning it. You need to counter those feelings. And if you can't do it yourself, with all the things we have as tools, talk to a therapist. There's nothing wrong. It's wonderful, as a matter of fact, to confront burnout with someone else, because it's not easy. This has been the Real Senior Stoner talking about an incredibly important topic: burnout. How do we recover from being burned out? Everyone's going to be there. Everyone is going to have a burnout and have a burnout situation, a burnout day. You have a burnout week. Guess what? Number one, you are not alone. We all face that situation sometimes. And you know what? Our Puffco Proxy with the bubbler and diamonds certainly helps us take the edge off. Here we go, everybody, for that hit that helps. This has been the Real Senior Stoner today, and we have been talking about ways to recover from burnout. How about ways to not even burn out? Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button, send a like, and I reply to all the comments. I'm twisting my ball cap. Here we go. I might have twisted it, the atomizer off. Here we go. Get that puppy heated up again with some diamonds. Hey, you know what, everybody? Burnout is so common. You might not even know you're burned out. That's just a term, burned out, burnout. But it applies to when you're feeling wrung out, when you're feeling finished, when you're feeling you can't go any further. Well, guess what? You can. You're going to be okay. This has been the Real Senior Stoner. Puffco, Proxy, and Bub. Have a great one. Cheers, everyone. And thank you so much for being here today to talk about recovery from burnout. Cheers, everyone.